Hi, so my idea for this lesson would be based on a book entitled Panda and Polar Bear by Matthew Bake, and it focuses on the concept of same and different and how even though we all have our individual differences, we can all still be friends. I work with 3-year-olds, and I think that during this time it's very important to focus on your own self since it's a very egocentric time in their lives, but also to kind of open their eyes and broaden their view of the world around them. So before the lesson begins, I would have, throughout that week, I would have table time activities for the students to sort out different objects that were based on their similarities and their differences, just to introduce the concept of same and different. And this would be a good way for me to assess who was having, more difficulties sorting out objects based on similarities or differences before I actually start the lesson as a whole group. So I would start off the lesson by having everyone gather on the large rug to hear the story as a whole group. I mentioned in my lesson plan that I would have the option for an audiobook ready in case any of the students were having a difficult time sitting or listening to the story. Just to have that option there would be a little bit of a differentiated instruction. So the story surrounds the idea that a panda bear and a polar bear don't know each other, but the polar bear falls off of his icy cliff and lands in the panda bear's muddy, area, and they find each other, and the panda bear thinks that it's another panda bear based on the mud spots that are placed all over the white coat of the polar bear. So as the story goes on, the panda bear learns that, the polar bear, learns that the spots are coming off of the polar bear, and the spots are basically coming from his own habitat, the muddy spots. So he's beginning to look more like a polar bear. So the two of them form a nice friendship, but they eventually realize that they're different, and they still maintain their little friendship. So I would definitely be checking in throughout the story to see, I'd say like point to different images on the story in the pages of the book to make sure that everyone was on the same page and understanding the concept of the book, the bigger picture. So after the story ended, I would ask 2 teachers in the room to come up, and two females, but one would have longer hair, one would have shorter hair, one would wear eyeglasses, one would be taller or shorter, different skin tones, different eye colors. And I would ask the students to participate, raising their hands and pointing out what are the differences that they can notice between the 2 teachers. After that, I would actually I would ask 2 students to come up, 2 volunteers, and I would make sure that they had enough differences between them so that we could, understand the topic. And I would ask them to point out the differences that they notice in their peers, just to reinforce the idea of same and different. And even if you're different, you can still be, great friends. After this whole activity was done, I would have images ready on the smartboard that would need to be sorted into different columns based on their similarities. So, different types of birds or different types of anything that could be sorted just to further assess their understanding of the story. So, yeah, that's my idea. That's my lesson, and I haven't done it, but I would like to do it in the future. And I think that's a really great book especially for 3-year-olds to be able to relate to. And yeah, that's it. Thanks.